I know you're out there.
You're tuning into the White Robot Podcast with your host, Julian Smith. White Robot is not another filter. It's the quiet rebellion for those who refuse to be optimized out of existence.
Building these apps using stateless data architecture, when it hit, why not build everything? This is like the code of nature.
In a world racing to replace people with code, we decode the future so you can thrive in it. We use technology as the antidote, not the assassin. And now here's your host, Julian Smith.
White Robot. White.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the White Robot Podcast. I have been sitting down talking for about, a little over an hour with Blake Senftner. Yeah, and we've been having one hell of a conversation. It's been going so well that it's taken this long for me to actually hit record. He's a fascinating guy. He's doing some really, really innovative stuff with AI and video. And as somebody who does have a bit of a background in video, I can tell you that's a real tricky one. That's a tricky one for me. I've done some things in Studio J, but they're at a very sort of basic level. And he's an expert in facial recognition technology. So his depth in AI goes back to about the 80s, which is about as far back as one can go when it comes to AI. But let me stop talking. Blake, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself and what you're doing and what you're working on?
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Blake Senftner, and I'm I'm lucky enough I've had the actual title of Mad Computer Scientist since about 2002. And I kind of have somewhat of a unique background. I started out as a video game developer. I had my own game studio at age 17, and I parlayed that into being a third-party developer for the original Apple Macintosh. And then I kind of finagled that to become a member of the early 3D graphics research community. And I was lucky enough I spent a year working for Benoit Mandelbrot. If you know who that guy is, he's the father of fractal mathematics. And I then, kind of lucky. One of my first jobs out of school was working for Philips Media, and this was back when CD-ROMs were at the R&D level. Right. And so I was actually one of the people that wrote some of the original streaming media operating system extensions. And the group of people that I worked with eventually got renamed as the MPEG Experts Group.
There you go.
But that was after I'd left them. I wrote the video subsystem for the original 3DO game console. And then I did the same for the PlayStation. And if you remember the Tiger Woods golf scandal, where the first South Park episode was found hidden on the disc. Yeah, I was on that team, and everyone got fired. And during the .com era, I was working at a company where I wrote the first live video codec for live video over the internet. Mm. And then I worked in visual effects for a while. Scooby-Doo, Chronicles of Narnia, the Garfield movies, the early 2000 ones. Those are the ones that I worked on. And while doing that work, I also became the original patent author and inventor of what are now called deep fakes. And that became a big problem because nobody believed that it was possible to actually replace people in video realistically, and much less as a service. And my master's thesis was on the creation of an advertising platform to insert people into video advertising. And by 2008, I had a working system. And simultaneously, that was also the global financial crisis, a bad time to launch a company. When everybody's skepticism and pessimism was as high as they could possibly be. The only people that we managed to convince that this would be something viable would only do it if we made porn.
Right.
And we refused to make pornography. And my film industry partners went back to the film industry. I stubbornly held on. And by 2013, I was bankrupt.
Yeah.
And then I went into the facial recognition industry. And by 2015, I was working for a company, and we became one of the global leaders. And I left the company, I guess about a year into COVID. And since that time, I've just been a freelance AI researcher. And I've got this system called MIDEM that is a AI integrated office suite.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. And boy, you're right. Isn't that a sad reality that the most cutting edge video technology is if you want to go find it, you'll find it in porn. Right? That's where the money is. And that's an unfortunate reality, especially when, there's people like yourself who are creating innovations right now for things that would be useful in for news events and coverage, podcasting and video, like things that would be, again, all constructive uses that a lot of people would like to be doing with their lives rather than watching porn. And yet, here we are in my case, I'm in a barn, twiddling away. As I was saying earlier, I think our day will come. But
and it's interesting too. Back when I originally had my stuff up and operating, I knew I had to have test cases to show people, viable applications,
right.
Because people, you explain to somebody you can replace anybody in video or in film, and 90% of the population goes, okay, so what?
Mm-hmm.
They don't see any value in that.
Right.
Okay, so one of the first things I did was I took a movie trailer of a Spider-Man scene, and it's like a scene where he's on top of the train, he saves the train, but yet he's like unconscious at the end, and all of the people take him like he's our hero, right?
Right.
Well, there's a moment in the action where he takes his mask off so he can see better, and then it's back on a scene later, a shot later.
Yeah.
Modified that clip so that when he takes his mask off, it's you.
Yeah.
Okay, and the idea was that you would be able to buy a copy of a trailer where you've been inserted into the action.
Right.
Okay, so that was one of the examples. And then we made another example where this was working with a UCLA educational researcher who was working with autistic children. How do you reach autistic children? Because they don't even recognize a human face as trying to talk to them. But they will recognize their own face. And if you superimpose their own face on the instructor in video, that gets their attention, and you actually create a vector to reach an autistic child to begin education.
Interesting.
Okay, so that was the second application that I showed, and then I think I had like maybe about 4 or 5 that I had put together, but yet meaningless.
Mm.
All they wanted to do, and this was insulting too. They would go to YouTube and they would find some steamy clip from like some Hollywood movie with a sex scene, and they'd go, put me realistically into that. This would be the investor.
That's
the guy,
the investor. Wow. Wow.
If you can put me realistically into that,
Yeah.
and if you have this done by tomorrow, we'll invest in you.
Right.
And I got that type of nonsense a lot.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Slow and steady wins the long game. I think what you're doing is amazing. At the end of the day, you're the one building the technology to do it. Exactly. You're not the guy creating deep fakes and swindling people out of their money. You're interested in the technology and the capabilities. And like I said, video is complicated because of its file size and the amount of processing and rendering and all. And then on top of that, there's a whole art and science in terms of lighting, shading, color composition, depth. The amount of background and experience required to do what you're doing right now is extensive. It's not like anybody could actually just walk into AI and start building tools that have practical applications like what you're doing. Is there any kind of demonstration or something that you're able to maybe show
Sure.
like that?
Yeah. Let me let's see here. If I just switch my tab, will that?
Well, I think first you have to share screen. If there's a share screen, if there's something on your screen that you want to show.
Let's see here. I think it's screen 1. I go to us for a moment, and then I'll tab us over. Okay.
Cool.
All right. What do we got here? This is probably too. Hang on. Make it so people can read this stuff. So because the video feed will make everything small, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me just. This is a project inside my system. It's an R&D project that I use. Maybe I should jump out to one that may not contain sensitive stuff.
Sure.
Okay, so the name of the company is Method Intelligence, and within a project, you always have this top level thing right here, and this is an AI assistant that explains how to use what you're looking at.
Right. Okay.
Where I find a lot of people, they just don't. Well, they won't read the documentation. They won't. They'll just try to wing it. And so this is helping for people who wing it.
Good.
Let's see here. I got to be careful to make sure that I don't pull up something crazy.
You do have a lot of tabs open. I gotta say, you're worse than me. That's a lot.
This is my browser that has fewer tabs too. It's out of control on my system. Okay, so let's see. Right here, this is one where I created a blog post that explains how some of my media stuff works. But just to explain a little bit higher level. Okay, yeah. So I've got a whole bunch of chat bots inside this system, and right here's. This one here, she's a simultaneous MBA and also an attorney.
Gotcha.
And so she's great for general contract negotiation and understanding type stuff. So, and then here's another, this one is immigration attorney. This one here is actually a Dungeons and Dragons character. Here's some of my paralegals.
Wow.
The different paralegals, they basically explain to a law client why they need to supply the information that they do, and how do they supply it, and why it's important. So it's just explaining to law clients their side of the relationship that they're paying for.
Okay.
This one here is, I don't know if I should even mention this one. This is a homeless guy who's also immortal. He was alive before Adam, and he watched everything. So you can ask him about everything, and he's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I bet. Okay, so these are a bunch of AI AI agents that are method acting certain roles that you've created. Okay, very interesting.
And so, like, right here is a whole bunch of literary ones that I made. This one here is a romance novelist that is a literary critic that expects to be working with the person writing a romance novel. In a similar manner, this one here is a horror muse that helps people write horror novels.
Gotcha.
So whatever. I've got a whole bunch of these different guys all over the place. And then this here and these guys here are a little bit more interesting. These guys,
I don't know. We're still looking. I'm still seeing the one screen with the what have we got? Like just a bunch of characters. The white screen. Are we looking at the same thing with the project feed? And
do you have a new image where it has chatbot bot GPT 5.4 and a?
No, I think you need to switch, like share that. You need to, anytime you switch a tab, you're going to have to switch, say, share
this should still be on the same tab.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. Okay. Oh, that one right there. Yeah. That you've highlighted. Okay. Yeah. Yep. Sorry. My bad.
Did you just see me highlight?
Yeah.
Okay. So this guy here, this is a special chat interface that you explain the new AI that you want, the new method actor character that you want, and it will create it.
Right.
And so you explain what you want, and then when it understands what you want, you just say the trigger phrase, make it so, and then it actually generates the agent and integrates the agent directly into the system. And so you can also change them. So like if I wanted to, I can go into, here's all of the chat bots. I can go in like, here's the Luke character, okay, crazy homeless guy. If I wanted to, I could, say I wanted to change Luke and it would actually change him. And then I could say, make it so. But actually, I like Luke. I don't want to change Luke.
Right. Now, how are these being used, let's say, out in the world, or what is the general use case for this?
Okay, so these here are actually chat bots. So that would be, you're just talking to them, okay? Down here, I've got other bots. And these guys are integrated into other applications. So if I were to go down here, I'm at the organization level. I'm no longer inside a project. Now I'm inside the organization. And here's all the projects that I have in the organization. But now I can go to my AI agents themselves. Okay, now here is the current agents inside this organization. But here's all the types. So you've got a straight chat bot. And there's also a thing called a chain chat. It's like a chat bot, but you have more than one. And so it would be like you have an accountant and a finance person and someone else who's got a financial expertise. And then you enter into a group conversation where each of them bring a different type of expertise. And so rather than you talking to one chatbot, now you're talking to multiple chatbots, each with their own expertise.
Yeah, I had an idea for something very similar like this, where it would be like a group chat, and you could pick your philosopher, right? So right. So it's like, okay, I want to bring Socrates and Plato, and I'd like
Yep.
Aristotle to weigh in on the conversation. And it occurred to me too that what you would want to have probably is maybe some settings where it'd be, okay, only can only draw on actual literature versus or can only even speak in the original language and tongue. It would have to,
Exactly.
various levels of sort of strictness of how hard the AI would follow its role and its character and its knowledge base. And then you could have this sort of group chat and say, okay, here's the problem that I'm dealing with. What do you guys think? And then you can sit and watch Nietzsche and Socrates get into it. I think I think that'd be kind of cool. I see the collaborative individual value of something like this for sure.
So that's what the chain chat thing was doing. But then there was this chain relevance thing. A chain relevance is when you're in a chat chain conversation with a group of AI agents, and one of the agents recognizes that there's another agent that might be relevant to add to the conversation. And so this is the logic that is the bridge to then pull this other one into the conversation, even though the user did not originally ask them to be there.
Clever. Yeah.
And then it's kind of like a little approval thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This guy might have something interesting to say. Let's bring him in. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I'm starting to see where this is going. Yeah.
Okay. Then the chain chat maker is like it's the AI agent that you conversationally explain the expert that you want to have in a group conversation, and then it'll either find it or create it from your conversation.
Okay.
Okay, then a chat dictionary. Okay, now this is a special type of agent that nobody ever talks to. This agent, when you're working on a project, you define information about the project. Who's the client? What's the goal of the project?
Right.
What's our deadlines? Things that would ordinarily be shared between human people on the project also needs to be shared to the AI agents.
Right.
So what the chat dictionary does is it's an agent that has access to the shared project information, and it recognizes that, oh, this current conversation taking place actually is referencing some of the information in the project dictionary. Let's make sure that the correct definitions are being used. And if this information in the conversation is updating what the dictionary has, we should update it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right. And then chat suggestions is a different agent that it's listening into the conversation and following along when information referenced earlier in the conversation is not being repeated in the conversation, even though it's relevant to the conversation. The chat suggestion bot will inject that and say, oh, you talked about this earlier. This is relevant to this point. And so it re-injects it back into the conversation.
Wow.
So that it can be handled.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Chat obligations is a similar chat bot in that after a conversation with the chat, with any number of these bots has finished, during the course of the conversation, somebody, an agent or a human, could have made a reference to, oh, I'll take care of that later. It collects all of those future references to things that are now obligations, and it creates a report that says, over the course of this conversation, these are future promises that now must be kept.
Okay. Now, does this have any, let's say, outside actionable capabilities? In other words, what I'm seeing, in what you're showing me, is and I think this is obviously a very big. There is a demand for sure. The ability to create an agent that's something that is sort of genuinely agentic, and it's something that is, based on a certain knowledge base or has a certain skill set and the ability to just say, this is what I want, and then have that agent active and doing something.
Mhm.
That I think there's a demand. There's clearly a demand for that. I think
Mhm.
certainly on an just on an education level alone, that's where I think
Mhm.
what you're building here has tremendous value. I think when we talk about agentic, and creating a little bot and characters and with skill sets or tasks, I think where the demand obviously is, people want, an agent that's going to sort of go out. It's like, go find me leads, or go out and you're in charge of managing my
Ah, see,
advertising on Facebook, or you're in charge of my social media accounts,
see,
or
that's
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 what people
that's
want.
actually that's absolutely not what these guys are.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Good.
and there's a distinguishing factor here.
Hmm.
All of these that I'm showing here, these are all generalized templates for a type of agent. So like a chatbot can be an expert in any specific topics you choose.
Hmm.
Likewise, any of the chain shots can be, any one of these, it's a generalized bot that knows how to recognize obligations, but you need to tell it, what's a real obligation. If you're a real estate agent, and this is a real estate firm, and over the course of the conversation, one of them mentions that they're going to pick up lunch, that's not a real estate relevant obligation and probably shouldn't be included.
Right. Right.
That's a light example. But like in some of these other ones, like the memo chat, that's being able to hold a conversation with a document in the subject matter of the document.
Right. Right.
And so these are all different variations of that same thing, where when you're looking at a document, the document can be in HTML format, it can be in text format, and there's different ways that how you deal with it in the data format make a difference.
If you don't know what to do with AI, maybe you should give White Robot a try. Maybe linger, get by free before.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to give us a like and follow now, you hear?